public holiday, but that's fine. It's the reason we came right on to be a part of your public holiday. You are welcome to the lounge. Now, first off, I'd like to quickly speak about the tragic loss of Junior Pope, who left this world yesterday in a very saddening way while on set of a movie in Delta State. And our hearts, our thoughts are with his family. At this point, I just imagine the young wife and the little children. And practically, there's no better way to start today's program but to acknowledge that we've lost a shining star, we've lost a fearless hero, we've lost a gem in the Nollywood industry. And of course, in the youth force of the country, and we will forever miss him. On that note, you're welcome to the lounge. My name is Melanie Ishola, just so I don't say Margaret or Sazua. My name is Melanie Ishola, and I am joined today by my co-host, Margaret Osazua. And I don't say that name without the delectable Margaret Osazua right here. And
Hi,
I think
everyone.
I Yorubalize your name.
It's your way.
Pronounce it.
Margaret. Osazua.
It's the Osazua. I'm always Osa.
It's your way.
No vex. And right here, I have the amazing Edidiong Ipoto. Am I right?
Well, you tried.
Ah, goodness. Then murder. Ipoto.
Ipoto, right?
Ikbutu.
Ipoto.
I
We
think
both
I've actually-
married.
Yeah, who thought? What?
Pronounced it on site here.
Don't worry.
Before. The last time I was here.
You did pronounce it?
Yeah, I did.
Don't worry, we'll take lessons this time.
Yeah.
I won't do it again.
Yeah.
Ipoto.
Yep.
We
Good.
promise.
Now, and that's the beauty in diversity. But of course, the energy here, especially between Margaret and Edition, is already giving a lot is happening, a lot is happening. And guys, I go through a lot in the hands of these two behind the scenes.
Hey.
And let's hope we're able to bring all of the drama onto the lounge this evening. So recently, a lot has been happening on the internet space. And on the internet space, there's been so much going on. And it's almost as though you cannot truly be happy in Nigeria, especially on social media. And people would indeed genuinely be happy for you. The spate rise and increase in toxicity on the social media is worth talking about. And that is why we're looking at a very crucial topic: cyberbullying, cyber protection, and your mental health. And this is where we ask that you join in on the conversation. Now, in laying the premise very quickly, it's important that we look back on a few instances or case studies over the past, say, 10 days. We started by hearing that there was such news of, and I have to check the name of this guy because I mustn't just miss it. Agonzi Comedy was a guy who started a very rife, controversial, and you're asking me, vile campaign against Mercy Chinwo, when he started by saying that Mercy Chinwo's son looks like Nathaniel Bassey. Nathaniel Bassey is a colleague of Mercy Chinwo in the gospel, if we could say gospel music industry. I do not know if there is such compartmentalization or whatnot, right, in the music industry. And it started just as joke. A number of people came under that comment section on Facebook to troll Mercy, to say, oh, it's true, indeed, this and that. After a while, a few people who wanted to bring sense into the conversation, I believe, reached out to him to say, you need to call back your statements and your words. And he did another video saying, no, nobody would bully me into into not saying what I already said. And so it went. And just as though that wasn't enough, shortly after, Sharon Oja said, oh, she was happy, she was married, she's been married for months now, and interestingly, she didn't disclose the identity of the spouse, not even the name, nor the face, nor whatever whatsoever regarding the husband. I feel that was under her own prerogative to decide to do whatever she wills in that perspective. Now, to very recently, a few days back, when sadly again, we lost another rising star in Nollywood, and that is Jumoke, Aderounmu, popularly known as Esther in Jenifa's Diary. And that's Funke Akindele's production, right? And then it became a Funke Akindele's issue. And I think this personally got to me because if you're talking of people who would set up the ring light, right, after any incident, after any troll, after any abuse, I think Funke Akindele has been someone who would take abuses, bullies with so much grace on the internet. But this time she couldn't. And you may understand. She was told that her twin would die, your children would die, and there were all sort of curses rained on her. Yeah. And she had to come out to set the ring light. In fact, in my opinion, for the first time, Margaret, Funke just never replies. If you have seen Funke reply any troll, anybody on the internet before now, please state it. She just never replies. She got divorced, all sort of trolls, all sort of abuses, she never replied. She was campaigning to be the deputy governor of Lagos State, and then she lost, and there were all sort of abuses, all sort of trolls, she never replied. Her mother died. Her father was buried a couple of years back. There were all sort of trolls as to whether they attended or they didn't attend, or she never replied. This time, she had to reply, and in her response, she said something like she was also human, and that she has her own issues that she's dealing with, and that people should please be kind enough. And the realm of asking and wishing her children dead was actually a very extreme realm. And that's what we're speaking to today on the lounge. Much as I've taken so much time to lay the premise, it's because this discussion actually does demand that we set every record straight and that we get it as accurately as possible. Now, the ball is thrown, Margaret and Edith Young. I mean, very clearly, this is a case of cyberbullying. Yes. Right? Because anything that stays on the internet, they say, happens on the internet, stays on the internet. Yeah. But this time around, it's no longer staying on the internet because it affects real life people that have real emotions, that have feelings, and are able to deal with the aftermath of this. With all that's been said and all the cases we're treating, I'd like to take your reactions to what you felt, especially when the Mercy Chinwo's case began.
You know, for me, what I saw was cyberbullying, like at its peak. It was extreme for me because, I mean, there was a child involved. And most people, when they talk about bullying, they think bullying is just when somebody comes to you and pushes you into a corner and you can't retaliate. You become so scared, you know, you run. But these are unprovoked, repeated actions by someone that the only intent is to cause harm. Because literally, you cannot box somebody into a corner, call the person derogatory names, condescending names, even go as far as cursing, and you expect that they will be fine. Now, the difference between bullying and cyberbullying is just one thing: electronic media. You know, and the fact that most of us now have familiarized ourselves with social media so much. The space is open to free commenting, anybody. And you see these people that come to comment on these things, many will shock you because I take my time to sometimes go through their pages. They're anonymous. They don't even have the guts to show their faces. Unlike this one that showed his face, this Agozia, what is his name? I even refused to put the name in my head because I was really pissed.
I had to go search it out.
A child was involved. Okay, fine. People, I've seen a lot of things. People say, why did Mercy Chinwo bring her family public? I mean, don't bring your family public. Take it. I'm also of the opinion that yes, she can keep your life private. But at the end of the day, it's her opinion. It's her stance. She wanted to share. The least people could have done was keep your mouth shut if you had your reservations. And then you go as far as demeaning another person's character. You bring Nathaniel Bassey into it. Somebody that she holds the... Like,
even Nathaniel Bassey's wife is not left behind. Even Mercy Chinwo's husband, Pastor Blessed, is not left behind.
I don't even know if it's this Agozi you're talking about that put a ring that was saying that.
It was him.
It was him that was telling Mercy Chinwo's husband that I'm warning you now, I'm telling you now,
go and do DNA.
Don't come and cry to us. And I was just wondering, I was like, what is going on? And then I go through the comment section and I see that we lack empathy in this country. When did we even get there?
When did we get here? Thank you, Margaret. Edith Young. I know it's a big discourse, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the issue of cyberbullying, again, is a conversation that I try to stay away from. But the one thing that I've seen you know, as an active participant in the social media, I always tell myself that I think social media is something that has actually shown me the worst in humanity. Because, you know, sometimes, you know, people behave in a manner that you probably wouldn't have, you know, pegged a normal human being to behave. And you, like, you know, how can you say that about another human being? I want to make reference to the Mercy Chinwo's case because I think I'm more familiar with that. I think I saw the video that the guy made, and some people were saying that, okay, it looks like he spoke with the lawyer, and the lawyer told him, listen, you don't have any exposure, but I don't know who he talked to. Maybe he was ill-advised. You are saying, okay, I was just expressing an opinion. And that it's not illegal to express an opinion.
Is that an opinion?
Yeah.
When you express your opinion to the extent that it causes damages to the guy
Defaming somebody else.
yeah,
it's no longer an
standing
opinion.
next to you, you cannot just come out and say it was an opinion because you know damage has been done and someone has to pay the restitution for that.
Interesting. So, I mean, I wanted for you to continue. I love that you're quite comfortable talking about Mercy Chinwo. And for me, in recent times, in the cases of cyberbullying that we've witnessed late last month into this month, these are the biggest cases. Cyberbullying happens every day. I do not know anyone that uses the internet one way or the other who has not been affected by cyberbullying.
Tell me about it.
Or who doesn't know anyone who's been affected by cyberbullying. I say to you, when I had my third child and, you know, hormone or whatever, I blew up. I became a size 16. And there were all sorts of comments to welcome me back to the internet. When I would later post my, you know, pictures and videos on the internet. And I had to dedicate, I think I said this a number of times, I had to dedicate a post at a point to put out a disclaimer and say, this far you go. You try me, we'll try each other. You know, because it was then becoming, you feel you could put a comment. Oh, you look so beautiful. Ah, but is this fat? Did I ask you? Is it your fat? And you just think that those comments could be so heartless. It's a lie. When you process that comment, again, it comes back to your mind. And again, it comes back to your mind. It becomes toxic.
Yes.
Worrisome. And then you start to brood over it, and then it starts to affect you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Margaret, I just want you to speak to this again while we move on.
Okay, so I would like to speak. I will move from Mercy Chinwo a bit and move to Sharon Ojas. You know, I've been seeing a lot of things on social media. I, for one, in fact, you people have bullied me so much that now I've developed thick skin. I told you, I was discussing this with you far back. I said, when we first started this video thing, it's news, news that you are familiar with, that I'll just come and tell you, so I'll get your opinion. You people will still curse me. You even say you will come for my entire family, but it's a lie. You cannot come for... Yes, you can, because, I mean, if I bulge and I bent towards all the things that they were saying, I wouldn't even be able to do my job properly. I will be working and looking at my shoulders like, who is chasing me? And that brings me to the Sharon Ojas situation. I mean, I saw where she had to put a full... In fact, she even had to tell them that she's a Jesus baby, so that people will leave her alone. Is your husband missing? Abi, is your fiancé missing?
No, Margaret. When she said that, she got it. She literally lifted it from my heart.
See, I was about to say it and I just read it.
But is your
Are you looking for somebody?
Who is Sharon Ojas?
Sharon Ojas is a popular Nigerian actress. She's one of the new crop of Nigerian actresses, right? And she's made a name for herself in not so short a period, but not so long a period in the industry. She's done quite a number of soaps, even
beautiful
Instagram
movies, and then she's very beautiful too. And you know, so
Mm.
for Sharon Oja, I think they were expecting that everything about Sharon Oja's life would be out there because of who she is. But baby girl decided to go private, and they got angry. Online fans, online in-laws, they got offended. And what even hurt me the most out of everything is not even the show us the man. Is he somebody's husband? Is he a married man? Is the fact that when she responded to them in a not so condescending manner,
in the comment section,
somebody literally told her, we will deal with you. Absolutely. You are rude, and we will come for you. And I asked you, who do you think that you are?
And I think the part where somebody was even correcting our English took me out too. And Sharon had to say, Instead of correcting the English, stay to the discourse, stay to the actual conversation here.
No.
It doesn't change. You correcting my grammatical construct doesn't change the fact that
these are the same people that will stand in front of you and they won't even be able to speak to your face.
Absolutely.
But it's easy for them to type.
How did hate develop this much in our hearts? I love the line you used when you said, you've never seen so much man's inhumanity to man until the era of social media, or do we even say the internet? Now, very quickly, I'd like to bring into the conversation our guest. We have joining us today, Oluyemi Orija. Oluyemi Orija is a social justice lawyer and the founder, Hertford Chambers. Oluyemi, good afternoon, if you are right there. Is it afternoon or evening? Good evening. Good evening, Oluyemi.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Yeah, good evening. Yes, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here this evening.
It's a pleasure to host you. Now, I know you've heard us talk about a number of things, and we did leave it open so you could, see the premise upon which this whole conversation is based. And these are not made up cases. These are cases on the internet and are popular cases at that people can literally go on and check and really familiarize themselves with. Very quickly, and I think it's very crucial, it's best.
You're muted. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I was asking.
Yes,
yes. The best place. You can hear all the questions, so you have to go again.
Please, you have to go again. You're muted.
Thank you. So, okay. So my question was, those who may not yet understand that spewing hate, just talking without thinking, just putting your opinion that is unsolicited out there, especially when it affects somebody else, is cyberbullying. That we need to start the conversation on that for you to situate within the era of, or the aspect or the purview of cyberbullying and talk to the laws we have in Nigeria relating to this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's a good time that we're having this conversation, and I've always said that the awareness is not enough. People are able to afford smartphones these days, and because of that, a lot of people really do not even know that laws exist in our country that guides our operations and our activities on internet. So yes, we have laws in Nigeria, and one of them is the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2015. And this law specifically is telling us what cyberbullying is or cybercrime are. There are a lot of them, but to streamline it into the discussion of today, cyberbullying is simply using technology to harass people, to threaten people, to bully people. It could be by way of your text message, your comment on social media. It could be by your video. It could be, leaking people's data on without consent. It can come in any form or shape, and it's important that people are really aware of how, because a lot of people commit this offense without even knowing what they are doing. And unfortunately too, people are being bullied, but they don't even know they are being bullied. So it's in different form or shape. So it's very important for us to put it out there and create awareness around the use of social media in a civil manner, in a way that is not in any form or shape affecting the mental health of somebody or hurting someone in any way or shape. So yes, cyberbullying is a crime in Nigeria. If the victim is nice enough, it could take it as a civil action, because you could now go by way of defamation if the content of the message directed at you is false, is not true. You can come up with you can sue the person in a civil manner. But in fairness, the law has prescribed the punishment for it. And the truth is, for cyberbullying, it attracts about a year, 2 years imprisonment and about 10 million naira fine. So there are laws that are in place, but I think that our law enforcement agents, of course, need to do better by enforcing these laws. But importantly, as Nigerian people, we also need to do better by reporting, because the law enforcement agent won't do nothing if you are not reporting. So I believe that cyberbullying is underreported in Nigeria. And this is because a lot of us don't even know we are being bullied. We feel that this person is catching cruise, quote and unquote, as they say. Yeah. But sometimes, even when you realize you're being bullied, you also like keep quiet. You're suffering in silence because you don't even know that there is solution out there. There's a way you can prevent this. And the truth is, if you do not prevent it to yourself, it's like you're opening a wider room for it to be meted out to other members of the public. So yes, it's an awareness we need to really create.
Okay, thank you so much, Oluyemi. I mean, you said so much beyond helping us situate this within the laws that we have, criminalizing cyberbullying, and equally letting us know that there isn't even enough awareness as to what constitutes cyberbullying. And a lot of people who are even being bullied, quite unlike Margaret and I, do not even know that what's happening to them is called, bullying. So, I mean, very well. Margaret equally has a lot going on her mind. So I'm throwing the ball right to her, right.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, but faintly.
Okay.
I'll try not to spot to be really audible. Because I would not like us to just dwell on adults. There are also children that go through these things, and most of the time they can speak to their parents or guidance. Like you said, I like what you said. Most people don't even know that they are being bullied. Now, there are students that know that they're being bullied, but they don't even know who to speak with because their parents are inaccessible. So, who do they speak with when they are being bullied? Did you get the question?
Okay. So for children, the law is so explicit, even on children, because we've now seen people not only even bullying children, you go to the point of child pornographies, and people are quick to share pictures about kids. The truth is, when it comes to children, it's even dicey or more stringent, I'll say, because you are not meant to lead their identity. You are not meant to put out their pictures. You are not meant to put out their details as to names and all of that. So when they are being bullied on social media, a lot of people put the blame on the parent. Some say, why are kids having access to internet at such a young age? But the world is, it's not like in our own time when we didn't even have access to a computer set until maybe you got to university. Life had changed, things are moving, so children are having access to internet. I mean, during COVID, schools were doing online classes and all, so children need to be aware and also be using the internet. But the truth is, when they are being bullied, I think the first approach is, of course, talk to your parent. But if you're talking to a parent that is not even aware about what cyberbullying is, then there is a problem. So as parents, you need to first educate yourself about cyberbullying, about the use of internet civilly in a civil manner, and then pass the next message on to the child. Let the child understand, if you want to be on internet, these are the likely things that could happen. This is how to handle it. If somebody is sending all forms of messages to you you're not comfortable with, have a conversation with me. These are the things we can. So the children also need to be educated around social media, around the use of internet and all. And in schools, of course, I believe that in most schools these days, we now have guidance and counseling units. They have cyberbullying, bullying department or something like that. You can always confide in teachers, a department that is designated for that purpose. So yes, children are not left out. I mean, they are children of some days old. People put their kids on social media, and people say all sorts of things, and they're it's very appalling. And but I think most importantly, parents also need to educate their children, because if you are not aware that a wrong is done to you, there's no how you even want to take action against it. So I think the first duty we have is the education. When they are educated, then they report. When report is made, actions are taken. Necessary report is also, formal report to the necessary agency is also done. And that way, I believe there will be progress.
Thank you so much. So I would like to pass it through to Ezekiel to ask your key questions.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
I just have a question for you. I heard you talk about sensitization, which is very important, like you said. So what I want to know is, what is your organization doing in terms of sensitization or other areas to see how this issue is addressed?
I'm hearing you very faintly. I'm not getting the questions clearly.
Okay, I said you spoke about sensitization, that it's very important. So my question to you is, what is your organization doing in terms of desensitization or in other areas to see that the message of cyberbullying, its consequences, or how you can take action where necessary? What exactly are you doing in this regard?
Okay. So, starting from my own organization, we are a law firm, and we are saddled with the responsibility of people of creating laws that exist in Nigeria and creating awareness around it to Nigerians. And we also use the internet in doing this. And sometimes when you put out some of these laws, you put a quote and say section so of the Nigerian that said so thing. Some people will tell you, in this country, some people don't even believe that some of these laws actually exist. So while creating the awareness, until they find themselves in that situation, some people really do not know the gravity of what the law is saying and how this thing can lead, where these things can lead them to. So I think that outside of my own organization, there are a lot of NGOs around Nigeria that talks about mental health, address issues around cyberbullying leading to mental health. They create awareness around these issues. They also, clamor for reporting of some of these issues. And that's why when the issues of the gospel singer happened, and they took an action, I was very happy that at least maybe in the public space, we are going to use some people as scapegoat, and then people can come to realize that you have to really think through the messages you want to put out there, because the internet will never forget. At the moment you put it out, you are no longer in control. And so creating awareness is important. And I think that everybody has a duty in this regard. And I always say that to Nigerian government, it is not enough to pass laws or pass bills into law. It is not enough. When the people these laws are meant to govern are not aware of it, then we have a problem. So the National Orientation Agency, which is the agency that should be doing this job, really need to do better in orientating Nigerians around the laws that exist in this country, one of which is the Cybercrime Protection and Prohibition Prevention Act of 2015. So yes, it's a continuous thing. We have to keep doing it.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Oluyemi.
Thank you.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, so final question I want to ask you. I'm sure I'm bombarding you with so many questions, but I mean, I saw it somewhere. I read it somewhere rather, where they said harassment can be likened to cyberbullying. So is there a thin line between harassment and cyberbullying, or they come hand in hand? I just want you to clarify that for me.
Okay, so harassment could come in any form or shape. And harassment is also a symptom of, or an ingredient of cyberbullying. So the only reason why it is cyberbullying is because you're using technology. You're using a phone, a gadget, a computer, So that's what makes it cyber. Other than that, harassment could be harassment. You could harass me without necessarily using any gadget. But the moment you use a phone or a technology to propagate that information to the second person or to the public space, it becomes cyberbullying. But harassment can happen without it being cyberbullying, while harassment can also happen as a way of cyberbullying, because you could harass me with the use of your phone. All right. So that is the only thing that's the only major difference that exists between the two. But in practical, all right, in practical, it could exist. Harassment can exist alone without being cyberbullying, but of course, it can also happen hand in hand.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I mean, so much has been said, so much that Oliemi would still say, but I practically want to delve into the arena of protection. I think it's equally important, as much as we're talking, trying to understand what cyberbullying is for those who don't even know what's been happening to them, right? Because that's also a form of empowerment, letting them to name it, right? But the other part of it then is what a lot of people would call cybersecurity. We choose to call it cyber protection, right? So how can I protect myself
From this.
as a user of the internet, of, the social media space, right? How can I be protected? I mean, is it then a situation where you say to be the only way I can be protected? Because part of the critiques or criticisms that Mercy Chinwo, for example, has faced has been that, and even Sharon, that why did she even announce in the first place? That's for Sharon. And for Mercy, that why did she even bring a son onto the social media space? Can't people share their joy anymore, right? And so, how do you recommend that we protect ourselves?
Well, you can. So the thing is this, right? You have every right to share whatever information you think it is necessary for you to share to the public. But the truth, again, is when you understand the peculiarity of the country where you're in, there are some measures you want to put in place. So, for instance, I am aware that for every social media platforms, there is the privacy there's the privacy function. So you can decide to limit the level of content you want, the level of comments you want people to comment on your post. You can reduce who you even want to see your post. So depending on how good your mental capacity is, you might want to use the privacy function of some of these platforms. That's one way to prevent some of these things happening. Another way is please report. Even the social media platforms also have a reporting mechanism. So if somebody had said something to you that you're not comfortable with, there's a way you can block the person and also report the person to that platform. If you report to Facebook, I know that Facebook takes action, and Meta product generally, so you can make this report to them, and of course they can take action by telling the person to pull down the post, or or even disabling that particular handle. So there's a way some of these things happen. And much more than that, right? Much more than that, you also want to take action. And I say to people, it is until people begin to see that there is consequences for some of these things, that we are going to see we are going to experience a saner internet community. But when we are not reporting, we are not taking action. I give an instance, right? At Hertford Chamber, sometimes ago, there is an expatriate that reported to us that a lady she had met somewhere was beginning to share his nude pictures on the internet, all right? And it was a big issue because his job was at stake. And not only his job, his reputation is at stake. A whole lot of things is at stake for this man. And it was a big issue. He was like literally wanting to leave Nigeria because of this singular situation. And I said to him, we need to report to the police. So we did a petition, we wrote to the police. The police took it out, they took it up, got the lady arrested. The lady apologized, put down all the, he wanted to institute an action in court against her for cyberbullying. But she apologized. She called people. She wrote apology letters. She did all forms of things. We even insisted on putting it on a media outlet. So I believe that having gone through that for her, if she's been doing it because we understood that it's a business for her. She gets high network people. Yes, high network people without their consent record their nude and threaten or blackmail them to get money from them. So, so people do these things, and I believe that having gone through that experience for her, at least that somebody held her responsible for once, it's a means of desisting from that particular act.
Check. Absolutely. Yeah.
So we need to really take actions as a people. We cannot continue to say they beg me. In fact, me, I'm not even in for say they beg Natalia Bassi. I want him like to go through with the entire suit, and the lady or all these people get the verdict of the court on the consequences of their actions. Really.
Yeah. Knowing you for who you are, I know you could still go on and share more case studies, just for people to understand how weighty this matter is. Indeed, you have brought on so much resource, right? And you shed so much light on this conversation today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed. Chambers, and she is a social justice lawyer, and she's spoken to us extensively on this arena of cyberbullying, what people can do to protect themselves. And I think the most important thing to empower anybody is to know that you can report it.
Yeah.
And that on its own is something. If cyberbullying is a big issue and we underreport it, we're not helping the matter go away. It's about to still stay and continue to affect all of us. Yeah. Now, before we make a wrap, there was the instance she made of the lady who started to threaten a guy, right, of releasing his nudes on the internet. And then, I mean, look at Edidion, fine boy, and somebody just says to you, I know you behave yourself a lot better than that, but the truth is, people who do these things, Margaret, sometimes, you are not even aware that you're being recorded. It's not a case of you practically played yourself in their hands. I understand that there are spaces you go into and you've been recorded. And people literally have, without your consent. And people can actually, weaponize this sort of recordings, pictures, and use them against you. These are the reasons why we speak to, questions and topics of cybersecurity, cyberbullying, for those who possibly think, oh, when I don't put my own life on the internet, it even goes beyond that. It goes beyond you posting your child or your daughter or your son like Mercy or like Sharon, your spouse. Yeah. It goes to the degree that people can literally threaten you from inside real life to the internet, defame you, right? Say libelous things, and in essence put your integrity at jeopardy. So as we make a wrap today, going from Margaret to Edidiong, I just want us to, speak to the whole essence of this conversation to the degree that you could advise somebody in taking charge of their own cyberspaces.
Okay, so when I was listening to Ms. Liamira, she said a lot of things actually, and she talked about how you can sensitize the public by disseminating the right information to persons, and I think that is actually a very big discourse. And I would just like to put it out there also that the fact that these people are celebrities, because I see it happens to them most of the time. They are human beings with blood flowing. They don't have a different blood from us. They have bones like us. They breathe in the same air as we do, So they are human beings. Please be kinder with your words. I mean, you go as far as cursing a woman's child. I don't even understand how most of you think. And the funny thing, Meneli, I actually think that those of you that do these things, I think that you are weak. You're going through issues and you refuse to go for therapy, so you want to instill fear in another person's child. And talking about protection, first things first, there's privacy on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Please make your account private. I don't know if it's possible to regulate the comment section. I don't know if it is.
You can actually disable it.
Do you understand? And all these comments. I don't know if you just delete it or something. I don't know, because at the end of the day, you might just think, oh, you're just, like Edith Young said, you're just putting your opinions. You're harming somebody else's child. The next is somebody will go and commit suicide and say they are depressed. And you people don't even think of the aftermath of your actions. So I don't know if you are out there and you're doing it. I know that you have issues with your mental health, and I'm not judging you, but at the same time, I'm just saying, go for therapy, help yourself, instead of instilling fear in another person's child. So that's that for me.
I mean, so apt. Edith Young, your 2 cents on this as we make it up.
Okay, I just want to speak on not just how to protect yourself, but basically what needs to be done, because I think it's very important for us to talk about how do we address this. First of all, how do you protect yourself? I think that in as much as cyberbullying can be injurious to your emotions and all of that, I think it's also important for you to grow a thick skin. I was listening to the heavyweight champion of the world, the boxing champion, Tyson Fury. He's been through a lot, in the past, and he came back, won the world title. And he's somebody who is targeted a lot in the social media.
That's true.
But he's also someone who is never disturbed. He said it, that, he's very strong mentally. That it doesn't matter what anybody says, he knows what he can do. He gets it. And each and every single time he gets in the ring, he gets the job done.
And that's
So
empowering.
Yeah.
But as empowering as that is, Edith Young, it took something as your children would die for a Funke Akindele, who has also told the same path as Tyson Fury, to actually break and set up a ring light and a phone to speak. Because I think Funke Akindele should be studied. Before everybody, you suffered a divorce, your mother died, you lost an election.
And she didn't shout, she didn't scream.
And she doesn't even come back replying you people. She get back when she had a twin. I was in a circle where women were speaking, and she's a particular person I deferred to at that time said she shared a message to Funke Akindele to say, yeah, Beji, congratulations. And Funke replied, she read to us. Funke replied and said, you are the only one, you are the first person to accept that we actually are Iyabeji, to call me by the name Iyabeji, for you to know how much hate. And she actually, for the first time, said, I go through a lot of things.
They go through things too.
So
I don't
Tyson
know.
is actually a figure to emulate. But we also say even Tyson needs to be protected. He needn't actually also go through a lot of these things that he goes through.
He needs to be protected,
Yes.
which takes me to my next point. I mean, we saw
In rapping?
we saw in Nigeria, the president was insulted and they closed down.
President Goodluck Jonathan was the most trolled president.
And his wife?
And his
He
wife,
was
Mama Peace,
insulted.
most trolled, most insulted duo that in public space that I think we've had in Nigeria. Doesn't make it right. And on a date like this, if all of us can look back on some of the things we did, maybe in ignorance, and say, indeed, was that worth it? What was it worth it? Would it be worth it? If you were the one seated on that seat, would you
take
appreciate it? Would it serve you?
No, but you don't shut down an entire platform because the president.
No, there is freedom of speech, but we are saying, can we take this freedom of speech with a lot of responsibility? And I think that's how we should wrap up on the program.
Okay,
today.
no. Let me just say this.
Yes, please.
The regulation needs to be two-pronged, not just with regard to the government, but I think the most important regulation needs to come from the platform owners.
No, there is that. There is that.
No, there isn't. Let me cite an example. In 2021, a whistleblower by the name Frances Hogan reported Facebook. And what did she say? She said that Facebook's own research showed that people are more drawn to hateful content. And yet Facebook optimizes for hateful content.
So I would love for us to have this conversation, possibly another time, but I quickly want to say this on that, which is why, if you check, there's been a lot of meta modifications over the years. What you said is true. And part of it is why majority of the contents that Meta would also throw more on the faces of the audience are happy, jolly, good, sweet stories. Go and check it. There's been a lot of modifications. So those
and a
feedbacks,
touch of violence.
well, now that's also arguable, and we shall continue to have these conversations until we have spaces, you know, a world that is safe for all of us, and especially our children.
And I think people should study Frank Edowo too.
Yeah.
I think it's
no, I don't want to study Frank Edowo. Frank Edowo's method is violence for violence.
But he's not targeted because of that.
No,
people,
but
you think twice before you target someone like him.
But people still target him.
But people still target him. That's the point.
You think
if it's that he
they
does
still
that
target
and then
him?
people leave him alone, they never leave him.
Not so much.
No, but
they still target
they still
him.
drag him.
Probably except you don't know his reputation.
So this conversation will go on behind closed doors just after we say goodbyes on the program today. And as I said at the beginning, that when you bring Margaret Osazua and Edidion Ikpoto together, there's going to be drama. And I see that you all have experienced it. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Melanie Ishola, and I've been joined by
Margaret Osazua.
Edidion Ikpoto.
Thank you. And keep on keeping your community safe. Online, offline. Goodbyes.
Bye.